You're listening to Overseas Dreams.
That's right. You are tuned in to Overseas Dreams. This is show 48. I am your girl, the official Melody. Welcome to the best radio show on earth and in space. And I have a wonderful guest with me, another poet from the Cincinnati area, Noc Giant. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great.
I'm glad.
Yes.
I'm glad. Thank you for being on this with me.
I so appreciate you.
Oh, absolutely. Had to get you on. So, before we get into, who you are and why you write, what you write about and all that jazz, how did you find out about the poetry scene out here?
Well, some years ago, I kind of got into it and then got out of it because I did some schooling. So I did that, and it took some years. And I was like, you know what? Let me figure out what's out here. And I saw Somerset, and they had something like a Tuesday evening. And so I did that, and then that's kind of what got me going every week to different places every month. Somebody has their Thursday, third Thursday of the month, second Tuesday, whatever. Friday. So that got me there, and so I did a couple poems. I did a poem So High and the poem Last Time, and they were well received. So that had me like, okay, cool, I got something here. And so then that's when I started trying to connect with people, and they're like, oh, they had this one here and they had this one here. And then then I just got into the mix of every month you have whatever is going on. So that's how I kind of started back.
Cool. So who is Noc Giant?
Ooh, that's a hard.
And how did you come up with the stage name?
Okay, so who is Noc Giant? Just a creative dreamer. I've been creating since I was a kid.
Okay.
And a lot of that started when I was like drawing. I would draw a lot when I was a kid. So that was the part of it. And I like to write. So I would like write stories and things of that nature. So then that turned into like, don't keep doing that. Then at the music part came in there. So you do the rhyming or whatever the case may be. Which then turned into like making beats. And early on that was like, obviously the desk, you make a beat on the table, whatever.
Yeah.
And so then like teachers like, oh, you gotta start banging on the table. And so then that came to like started doing the beatbox. So I started doing that. The poetry really didn't come until say like late high school. You had a couple assignments that were like poetry related, whatever. So I wrote like maybe three or four poems in high school. But again, those were assignment related.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't until, I got into college, like my third year in college, that I really started writing poetry. And then I just, loved that. But it all started from the creative side. It was still creating the story, still creating like this fiction. Even when I was drawing, I'm drawing my own sort of characters, creating my own little world. And so with poetry, I'm doing that same thing. Yeah, you take some true stuff. Like, so I like to say, I take a true part, and then around it is the story I'm trying to tell you, which may not always be true to me,
right? But
then it's true to somebody else, or it's on people's minds. So you create a story around there like that. The Noc Giant. So at first, so in high school, I told you I do music or rap or whatever. So in high school, a few friends of mine, they were getting a group together. And I was like, you gotta have a first and last name. This is, come on, rap name. It's your first and last name. So the name I came up with was No Smoke.
Okay.
Right? So I had that, and I had that all the way through. And when I started doing poetry, like I say even during college. I think I was using the stage name. But I think I might be loose. I won't be too sure about that. Definitely when I came out of college, I definitely used the stage name. So the name I was using was Smoke. That's what I was going by, Smoke.
Okay.
And so part of when I was doing, I told you I do beats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was a part of like Smoke 5, which my favorite number is 45. So like you had that No Smoke, you have 45. So I took the last of each and put them together. So Smoke 5 was the production that I was doing. So Smoke was the name I was using when I was coming out that first iteration, and then I went to grad school, was law school, and then
okay.
You know what I mean,
law school.
Whatever. this more to you. So, but then when I came out, I went to Somerset that first time, and my name I used to Smoke. But I was like, you know what? I want more definition. Smoke is so common. Like, you think about rap names, some of you smoke or whatever. And there was some definition behind that, but not too much. And so I wanted something that was like really me. And so Noc Giant is what I kind of came up with. So the Noc is short for nocturnal. I'm a night owl. So that's like, I've been a night owl for so long. And in some ways, that's what kind of started because I had like insomnia really bad in college. So I would write to like free my mind. And it just kind of like turned into like me write poetry. So that part's there. And then the giant part was, I grew up my life, you know, dealing with height issues or whatever. And so I felt like I wanted to put that into my name as well. But the giant part is saying that I'm more than my height, right? I'm more than anything you may see. People don't know about the law school stuff. They don't know about the music stuff. They don't. It's so much that's me. That's beyond what you see. Right. And a lot of times when you see like height, you like, oh well, you dismissive about it. And I'm like here to tell you like this. And I'm more than that. I'm a giant. I'm a giant. Yeah. So so that's a part of me. But we're all kind of giants because we are standing on the shoulders of so many people who have come before us. So that's where the name came from. Noc Giant is that whole nocturnal night owl, and then dealing with the hype of saying I'm more than the hype.
Okay, cool. Now you said the poetry didn't come not really until college.
Yes.
So what even made you like, oh, I want to write a poem that's not for an assignment?
Right. So there was this poetry competition. It was called Speak On It. And Zeta Phi Beta, they were doing this event. This was their event. And so I was like, ooh, this would be cool. Let me go ahead and do this. Whatever. But I had to write a poem, right? One of the poems had to be mine. You get, it's like 3 rounds, 2 poems from something else. And then the third one would be your original poem. So my first poem I was doing was Gil Scott-Heron's The Revolution Not Be Televised. And then the second was like, I think Langston Hughes' Weary Blues.
Okay.
And then it was my poem was I Shall No Longer Be a Slave. So that was the first poem that really started everything with the writing poetry. Unfortunately, I forgot some lines in the Gil Scott-Heron's The Revolution Not Be Televised. So I got eliminated in that first round.
Wow.
So I didn't get to do my poem, right, at that particular time.
Right.
But like I said, I kept writing, and we had something on campus. I went to Miami University, and on campus we had a little thing we called Voices Color. And so that's what we would do, like poetry, we do some singing or whatever. And so then that's when I kind of made my debut with the poems there. And then I just kept, writing and then coming out. So
that's really dope. No, I can definitely relate to the whole assignment thing. My very first poem was in 8th grade, but it was for English class. And it was something real basic. It was just like, the sky is blue. The kids come out to play. I still have it. But at that point, I wasn't a fan of poetry because I didn't know anything about it. I had never heard, spoken word. I'd never heard of Langston Hughes at that point, or anybody else. I thought it was all, Edgar Allan Poe, Shakespeare type stuff. I was like, that ain't really me. So yeah, my first poem technically was for a class assignment. But then high school, I got inspired by a classmate, and that was it.
Okay.
That was it. It was like, this is my voice. Like, this isn't, Edgar Allan Poe or anybody else. Like, this is my voice. I wrote that.
Right.
So yeah, I could definitely relate to that.
Okay.
Sometimes I try to discredit that poem in 8th grade because it was for an assignment, but it's like, you know what? Maybe I need to give myself credit for that. I got an A. It was decent, for what I had to write. So Maybe I shouldn't discredit it.
No, definitely keep it.
I'll,
You
yeah.
should. I kept the ones I wrote in high school, except for one, and that's because I actually lost it. So,
Oh, well.
so it's like gone. I think I only know the title. But
You know
that's
what's
it.
crazy? Like my first set of poems that I wrote in high school, I don't have them. I don't know what happened to them.
Okay.
I wish I still had them because they were good, in my opinion, anyway. I think I have the fourth poem that I wrote, but the first three are just gone.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. They in a landfill somewhere in
Yeah.
St. Louis, Missouri. Like it's
Yeah,
just
they're
gone.
gone.
It's just gone. I hate it though. That's what's up though. I would think like, well, not necessarily like, but if you were rapping, that the poetry part would just kind of come to you. I mean, you know, say rap ain't nothing but a poem over a beat. But
It is, but I've rarely written any raps. A lot of stuff has just been freestyles. Like I hear a beat and I just, go. Sometimes
Just
good,
go.
sometimes bad. So you keep it and then you like, oh, okay, cool, that was good. Let me say that one. And then you get enough of those and then I just put them together and then now you got freestyle CDs and
And see, I'm gonna call you out because what people don't know is before we started recording, I wanted to do a level test, a mic check. And I told this dude, just say something. He didn't know what to say. He started freestyling. And I'm just listening like, are you serious right now? I mean, just going. I'm thinking you wrote this down.
that's the creative side of me. Sorry, but I like I said, I rap, so I hear a beat and I'm going, and I do this daily. I mean, like I, get out for work. All right, put a beat on.
This is nothing
and then,
for
then
you.
You start rapping. I'm not saying it's nothing like I'm like historical rappers who have done it,
Yeah.
without writing and like that, or that I'm super skilled. You just go and you
got
capture
it,
the moment. You capture the moment, and that's kind of same thing I do with poetry. There's a part that I sit down and I'm like going with everything, check lines, but a lot of stuff is coming like, that's dope. Let me write that down. And then I write, and then I'm typing things together and get it on the screen, and then I'm starting laying it out, and I'm like, okay, what story am I trying to tell? And then you start putting it together, and then you start filling in, like, okay, this line right here, okay, this is the part here, I need a connector, and then you put it all together. But I'm rarely like, I wish I had it like that, where I can just sit in there and write like that, but it doesn't always pop out like that for me. So,
I get that.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's one thing I'm trying to get better at is crafting a poem. Like I can sit down and write and it'll be cohesive. But 9 times out of 10, I'm just writing what just came to me in the moment. But rarely do I sit down and try to go in a certain direction. Usually I just let it go in whatever direction it goes in. There have been a couple times where I will intentionally try to tell a story. But even then, it's just like I just gotta sit there and just let it come to me, because otherwise, writer's block would be so heavy for me. That's why I have to write like the first thing that comes to me, as it comes to me, when it comes to me. I'm of the persuasion, like for myself, if I don't like it, write it down anyway. I'll scratch it out later if it really doesn't work. But I have to write it exactly how. There was one night I was trying to write, and I had to like talk to myself out loud, like, okay, what's the first thing that comes to mind? And the first thing that came to mind was food. I was just like, what am I going? But I wrote a poem. And I think it's called Soul Food. It has nothing to do with food. It has everything to do with an analogy between food and a toxic relationship. But
Okay.
food was the first thing that came to me, so I had to write. I just had to write. I had to write it. I could not force it to be anything else.
Okay.
So I do want to get better at sitting down, like, okay, where do I want this to go? I love that you tell stories. I've never really told stories like that. I didn't read a lot as a child. I think that's my excuse. So my imagination is a little limited. I definitely want to get better at that. I admire people that can. That's dope.
Yeah, you'll get it.
One day.
Constant evolution of skill.
I'm working on it. One thing at a time. Let me get this poetry down pat. All right, y'all. Be sure not to go anywhere. We about to get into this next track by Bowtie and Avalon Young. To Me. Keep it locked.
Yeah.
What about us? Billions for Iraqi relief and reconstruction. Care to explain why so steep and where it would come from? Lots of money for foreign aid, not enough for national Medicaid. What about the homeless? Surely there's money for them too, in order to provide food to eat and a warm place to sleep, rather than on concrete next to others' feet. They are American like you and I, taking care of everyone else but our own, and other problems when there are so many to be solved at home. What about us? Consumed with wars of international terror, where grass face the ills of employment that is scarce, come out with degrees and debt up to their asses, and are expected to be examples and representatives for the masses. What about us is all I'm asking. Hoping to trade the degrees of time, sacrifice, patience, and dedication for jobs and money they envision. Yet instead, one is lucky to even have earnings reach or surpass 40,000. Washed away are the promises of a better life than their current, and additional opportunities they would earn if they gave an extra 4 or 5 years to burn. This socialization of college bound has left a job market unprepared for the influx, resulting in a pool of desperate applicants who are fed up. And what about us, the youth who attend public schools with a handful of cash, warm materials, and new metal detectors? Right down the drain goes education, losing teachers who are passionate and full of dedication, count us out before the start, place us in poor-ass neighborhoods where poverty and drugs reign supreme, then all of a sudden contend that we're delinquent just because our run-ins with police and prisons are more frequent. Capitol Hill screaming for the black vote, yet scheming to take advantage as if we're nothing but jokes. Getting rid of those that currently reside for paper is a trip. Cities are desperate for money, I'll be the first to admit. Yet why not provide suitable replacements rather than have them vacated, fixed up, and the price raised? Hence all that's left are previous residents left out to dry in the rain. Gave us choices of pushing or becoming dependent on drugs, working a dead-end job, giving their life for military service, or rolling up in a ditch to die. Those are not even options. So there's no wonder why the situation at hand is in need of immediate attention and critical to understand. So council members, senators and reps, governors and other high-ranking officials, Mr. and Madam President, what about us? Thank you.
Okay. All right. That was serious. Oof. Okay. Yeah. Where yep. Where did that come from? What inspired that?
So, well, this is post-graduation from college. So you're in that part of broke, trying to find a job. And I didn't have too many student loans coming from college. Grad school is a different thing. But I knew people who did have a lot of student loans coming from college, and that was something they were dealing with. And then we also had the war in Iraq, and you had the money that was going there, for their relief, their reconstruction, and all that kind of stuff. So you had that going on. And it's just talking about, really about, all this money going to other places, helping, other people, other countries' issues or whatnot. And so it's like, listen, what about us? What can we get some of that relief? And so that's really what inspired that particular poem, which when you look now, we're still dealing with some issues of right here at home, dealing with money going to other countries, dealing with, migrants coming in, some illegal immigrants coming in or whatever. and you're trying to provide services for them, but then you got people who've been here and they're still struggling, and they're looking for some of that relief as well. So, and I when I originally wrote it, it was Madam or Mr. President. It was considering that, and this election is coming up, one of them, so to be there. So I think the poem that I wrote a long time ago is still relevant today as far as issues.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, like going back to the part where you talk about, the homeless people like sleeping at each other's feet. Like, I mean, it's just, and one thing I've noticed, it's rampant. I moved here, not really here, but Northern Kentucky, Southern Ohio, from Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I mean, under a bridge, like you might see tents lined up, like a whole camp, and it's just like, wow, man, it's crazy. And then people come home from war and can't get a job. I remember asking my mother one time, like, if somebody served in the military, why can't they get a job? You would think that employers would be happy to hire them. I can't remember what her response was, but it's always been like a very interesting question I've had. Like, it makes no sense to me that somebody can come home after serving and can't get hired or won't get hired.
Right. And it's not even just the employment side, because they're dealing with other issues, mental issues, PTSD, things of that nature, and just trying to get readjusted back into society. And that's a whole nother track. So, having those particular services available to them. But if you asking somebody to go fight for the country, you would think that they're higher on that list. Like, listen, we making sure you're taken care of.
Exactly.
And that's not always the case. And that's something that, needs to change. And we talk so much about politics, and we're, doing so much about these different issues. I don't even see stuff like that being talked about. Like, who's dealing with that kind of stuff?
True.
And that's just sort of the value you attach to different people. They're not the ones who have a lot of that money. The lobbyists they have the money, or these big corporations, they have the money. And so they're working over an amount of cash to get directives in their particular favor. And the people who are not there, the ones who are voting, the ones who are dealing with the families, the ones who are dealing with the jobs, the ones who need their wages increased, right? They're not getting that kind of stuff. And so whoever gets elected, I'm like, listen, focus on the people. Not only just be about all Americans, be a president for all Americans, but make sure you focus in on the people so that they can be able to be a part of the American dream. So.
Okay. Cool. So what range of things do you typically write about? I know you write about love. I've heard a couple of your love poems.
Okay.
And that, so what's your range? Or do you have a certain subject that you try to stick with?
I really don't. I just kind of write what I feel. And so I Shall No Longer Be Slave, which is another heavy one, a longer poem. Don't read too much because it is longer. But that was an event poem, but it was talking about some of the heavy issues as well in that poem. And so in this book I'm working on,
we'll talk about the book.
It's and these poems that I'm reading will be in the book.
Okay.
But it's a heavier thing. When you see the cover, this is where we going in. I'm not gonna tell you the cover.
Okay.
But it's like, okay, we for real going in. And now when I challenge things, even the love poems that I write, I don't even necessarily consider them to be love poems, because I think in the book, the section they're under is called Something Like Love. And I'm making a difference between what I'm writing in the love poem that I would think is actually would be expressing of love. I think I'm talking about love in a certain way, or what I'm talking about may not be love. It may just be what you label as love, but that's like something else. And so I'm not really necessarily expressing. Then you can classify them as you want to. That's just me doing what I'm doing. But it's almost like it's not love. It's the pursuit of it. It's maybe not love. It's sort of an appendage of it. Like maybe it's lust. Maybe it's you lonely. You really miss somebody, right? Are you really in love?
Right.
You want love, obviously, but do you experience, or are you experiencing something that you think is love, but it's really not love? So that's why I say in that poem that I do have some of my love poems grouped in a section called Something Like Love, because is it really that, or is it something like it?
Okay.
So.
Okay. Do you have a title for the book?
I do have a title.
You're not gonna tell us.
I'm not gonna tell you the title.
It's okay.
I'm not gonna tell you that. I feel like I'm like an actor or something. You trying to get like clues about a movie that's coming out. You like.
I just want to know what you want to share. Do you have a potential release time frame?
I don't, but it's gonna be this year.
Okay.
It's gonna be this year. Yeah.
Okay.
That we
soon.
have. Yeah, that we have. Yeah, and I know.
Yeah, you got a couple months.
Yeah. The good thing of it is a lot of the poems are already done.
Right.
The cover is already done.
Okay.
You know, I've been drew that, and yeah.
Oh, you drew your own cover.
In parts.
Okay.
So I draw.
Yeah.
And still, I don't draw as much as I used to, but I still draw. And so, I'm not drawing a whole cover, in its entirety, but I'm like doing it in parts and not constructed. Right. Okay. So I do that like Photoshop, something like they put it all together, and then I'm doing all the blending of colors and lights to try to give it whatever I need, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I mean, we dabble in things.
I know that's right. So, are you going the self-published route, or are you like hooked up with a publisher type?
I'm going through a publisher. I have a publisher. Okay. I was gonna say like
you might be the first person I think I've heard that's going through a publisher.
Well,
that I know of.
They have publishers. So somebody I know, they had their publishing. So I'm going through this. So it's not like a
big wig.
Yeah,
company.
it's not
okay,
one. It's not like that. Not like that.
It's still dope.
But it's still no. But yeah, you're right. And when I initially thought about it, I did think about self-publishing, but because that's all I thought about was like, a big publishing company. You got to submit your manuscript, and it has to get approved and all that. And I just, by me connecting with people in poetry, I found, a publisher, someone who's doing that, and I'm like, okay, this route can get me there. And so I'm like, cool, let me go that route. So, I definitely need to get that done. And I'm close. It's just me sitting down and really going through poems. The big part for me with doing a book is because I'm creative, I'm always tinkering. I'm always like, oh, you know what? Is this good enough? Or you know what if I change this line? And as I'm editing, I'm like, let me get out of that mindset. This poem the biggest thing for me, does the poem flow, right? Does it flow? I mean, the rhyme scheme, you want some of that to be there, but a lot of it's gonna be there, but the flow for me, does it flow? Does it make sense from start to finish? I'll tell you, I'm writing the story. So it has that beginning, middle, end. So does it flow? Did you get that? Can you get the message that's in it? And if all those things are true, I like the poem, then I want to just check it off like it's good to go.
Right. So. Yeah. I don't. I've had somebody ask me before, like, do I ever edit my poems? And I kind of felt a little bit bad, but I was like, no. I've edited one poem, but edited as in I added to it. I wrote a particular poem. It was shorter. It wasn't super short. I slammed with it. I got a good response. And it's like the minute I sat back down, it came to me, it was like, I gotta add to this poem. It's not finished. So it's like 3 times longer than it was. But I normally don't edit my stuff. I'm pretty good with it as is, unless there's a word that's just off. or if I'm reading it like from my phone or whatever, and it's not flowing like from my brain to say this word in front of the other one, I might switch it or get rid of a certain line. Like you said, does it flow? Does it flow in my brain? But for the most part, I don't really edit poems. Unless I wrote a poem that's just way too long to slam with. Then I gotta edit it to 3 minutes. I've only done that twice. I've done it twice.
Okay.
I've done it twice. I don't like doing that. I just want my poem to be what it is.
Sure.
So either I'm gonna just not slam with it, or I'll slam with it to see how I do, but I'm not gonna like it as much as that full version. But I ain't trying to get a time penalty. So, I mean, there's that. Because I have one that's like 4 minutes long. I could never slam with that without reducing it down. But that's the most editing I do.
Or speed it up.
Or, well, yes. I don't even know if I can speed it up by a minute. Without, I don't know. I could. I would rather just edit it down. I want it to have the pauses, and that's something else I need to work. I need to work on my slam etiquette. I told myself I was gonna slam by the end of the year, but I'm not gonna hold myself to that. If I could just be a sacrificial poet, I'd be fine, and I'll slam next year. Because I haven't been doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I haven't been practicing memorization. So I guess I'm still in this writing, performing phase. I'll get to the slamming phase. I'm still getting settled out here, so I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I'm not gonna put that pressure on myself right now.
You do have Doo-Wop's Cincinnati Poetry Slam.
Absolutely.
November 9th, I believe.
Yes.
The last one of this year, so.
I know. That's why I said, you know what? Me slamming this year just may not happen, but that's okay. I'm gonna be okay with that. We got next season.
Okay.
We got next season. I'm still getting acclimated. Yeah, I went to the last Doo-Wop Slam, man. Boy, them judges were scoring low.
I heard that. I heard the judges are very tough.
Yeah. I was like, wow, I wouldn't have even gave this poem that score. And I think I might be a little harsh judge, but it was rough. It was rough, but it was good though.
Okay.
It was good though.
Okay.
What is your favorite thing about the poetry scene out here?
Ooh. You know what? Really, it's just the people. I mean, I think that's, they're the reason, but just the way they're open, right? So like I said, I've been able to connect with different people, and that's been beneficial. People reach out to me like, hey, I have this coming up. Do you want to do a couple poems or something like that? Or, doing whatever event. But, that part of them being able to be open with you to even connect with you. And
right.
Then be able to say, oh, this is going on. Or, hey, you should talk to whatever. That's how I got to the publisher. Because it was like, oh, you should talk to this person. You should link with this person, whatever. And then I did that. And so it's like, oh, okay, now we good to go. And so that's probably the best thing about seeing. But it's so much talent. There's so much.
I'm learning that
talent. I'm like, man, it's and so that's like that keeps me going, because it's like, oh, what do they pull from that? Or they have to reach for that, or they're talking about something way over here, and I'm like, I just want to be able to reach deeper. I want to be able to get more emotions out. From not only myself but other people, right? I want to be able to maybe talk about something in a particular way, and I do some of it where I write a poem, and it's not even what you're thinking about. It's something totally different, and so I want to be able to just reach further and I'll be like, wow, sometimes, because it's just so much, and that's the beauty. Like this, when they say that. Steel sharpens steel kind of thing, like that. That's one of those things. Like you going, there's some really good people out here who really got some really great work, and you're like, man, I'm feeding off of that. And so that's something that's been really good too.
Sure. Yeah. Fayetteville, North Carolina was the very first poetry scene I've ever, been a part of. That's where I started performing. And the scene out there was dope. The scene out there was dope. But this Cincinnati poetry scene is crazy.
Okay.
Now granted, part of that probably is because it's a big city. So, I get that. Fayetteville's not as big. But I think I might say my favorite thing is the people as well. I've noticed, and this is just my observation, it seemed like in Fayetteville, the most support that a poet got was from another poet or just other poets in general. But out here, it seems like you get support from the poets and the audience. Like the audience is just as hype as the other poets that know exactly what you're talking about. And I love that because it's not just a poet like, hey, I loved your poem. Oh, thanks. I loved your poem too. It's like the audience gets rowdy with you. It's like they're more responsive. That's what it seems like anyway. So I do love that. It does feel more open, welcoming. And then just like the different events going on out here is crazy. I love nostalgia for the red light and the band behind you. I've recently done my poetry to music, and now I'm gonna forever do my poetry to music.
Okay.
I hadn't caught the bug. Like I have to now.
Okay.
So I've done it to music like twice now. I'll be putting the band to work. Cause it's like once you get a taste of doing your poetry to music, you can't not. I don't know. That excites me.
Okay.
But yeah, the scene out here is insane. And I haven't even, made it to half of the stuff. I know that. So that is a goal for next year to try to make it to more. There's one, was it the Comment on Monday nights? I would love it to make it to some Friday events.
Yeah, the Comment, you mentioned the Comment, their last night is on Monday.
Don't tell me that. Like for good?
Well, just for what they've been doing. So that's going to be done. And, last Friday, this Friday, they just had their last Freaky Friday. So that's done. But the Comment on Monday, that's
hopefully for 2024. I hope these things will rev back up in 2025.
Well, there'll be some iteration of, an event, but it won't be like at the Comment. At least I don't think something's going to be there. So if somehow you were like, hey, I want to get back to Comment, the last one, this Monday would be a really good one to come out to.
It's at 8, right?
I had to look on the time. I had to shoot you at that time.
I may
to
make it.
Yeah, so I really had to look at it because I think they kind of start, but they don't really get read up until a little later. So
gotcha.
We have to look at that, and I'm sure they might just be like, "Hey, let's start this real quick, and then we could take a little break or whatever." So, but yeah, this will be the last time. I'm going to be there because I want to get to the last one, and that's the first place that I actually freestyled at.
Wow!
So I think a few months.
You do freestyling.
Well, listen. It's just one time. And
that turns into 2 times.
Well, I mean, maybe it depends what happened. But the DJ was just playing some beats, and then people were, freestyle. And I was like, you know what? Let me get on up here on the microphone, drop something real quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's what that's really what it was. But I really haven't done it in public. And only a few people heard me freestyle. A few people who heard.
I've officially heard you.
You heard me. I've done some freestyle. Like I said, it's freestyle CDs. There's only one person that's actually on that. Because they wanted to freestyle. They heard I did it, and then we just ended up recording one.
Wow.
And so, yeah. I don't do it often, but I'm like, I need to do more. And again, that's just, I'm inspired by this. Like I said, so much going on, there's talent around. I'm inspired by just being able to have that. And I think it's time, right? As time goes along, different avenues to put your work out happens to open up, right? So when I was doing it earlier, it was just like, kind of like, okay, well, how do I really get this out? How do I do this? But now you got YouTube, you got streaming services, and you can pretty much record your own stuff and then just put it out yourself. You don't really need nobody else to do it. Yep. So I think that's what makes it so possible to just put out anything that you want to do. And then you have the good thing about the tribe. Tribe is kind of what they do, and they have different events.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, they have different events. They're part of the Freaky Friday, event. They do the comment. It's all kind of through them. And they have new talent. So Freaky Friday is like they do their open mic there.
Right.
And that's talent in the city. And so you can sign up for open mic, do your song, whatever, and that's just the avenue to get you out there. And then you connecting with different people. So the scene to do your work and put your work out, it's a lot easier. And then you just, now it becomes organic. You do your song, people like the song or wherever you do work, and then you connect with other people, and then they're like, oh, I got a project. Do you want to be on this project?
Right.
And you get featured somewhere. Then you got a producer that's doing something. They want to get their stuff out. So like, oh, I heard you. I got a beat. That whatever. It's so cool to do it now. It's so much easier to access. It's a lot better. And so those things make it possible to even try to get out and do any other work that you haven't been done. So we'll see. Maybe a song drops. I don't know.
Okay.
We don't know.
Don't tell me that. I might hold you to it.
I mean, I said maybe, might, so you just never know. You just never know. But that's what I love about it too, because I get to be creative how I want to be creative. And that's sort of spontaneous. Like if I want to be like, oh, I just reach out this and we record this and then it's like, oh, you know what, put this out because it's good. And here's an open mic. You know what? Drop that song and then you rock with it. And I'm in the business of with my creations that I just do it because I want to do it.
Right.
I'm not really caring about, the money or all the applause or adulation that comes from any of that. I just do it because I'm creative in that space. And maybe that's where you need to keep it so that it doesn't get muddied up with like business and deadlines and, now people getting judged in it because it's like, oh, well, it doesn't sound like this. Or, can you redo this beat? Or, what, can you change this line so it can sound like, nah, I just do it because I want to do it. Exactly. And maybe it needs to stay that way so all the other things don't come into it. So, but we'll see.
I feel that. Okay. All right. Y'all be sure not to go anywhere. You're still tuned in to the best radio show on Earth and in space. And I am here with Noc Giant. Y'all be sure not to go anywhere. Keep it locked.
Best night.
So high. Some may consider this a dress of highness that's insane. I love being so high I cannot begin to explain. Taken to another level when with the effects I cooperate. It's like I cannot function or operate. I'll be straight up front because I high need. Despite my patience, like a vampire feed. Puff puff passes how I share my high. Sometimes short-lived and like smoke it goes goodbye. Succumbing to the wonderful addiction. Everything will be fine once the high gets to kicking. So high I am that I feel stimulated mind, body, and soul. A simple burst of verbal which I have no soul control. How wonderful the high. So visible to trace a right residue. So visible to loss of all control. Disabled linear thinking and my brain functioning like a leash dog let loose. When I'm high, nothing's ever mission impossible. Everywhere I go, high on the hallucinated visuals composed of a multiple. So high than a mother. I witness a stagnated transformation. Maybe I'm too high. So high indeed in need of a vacation. But I cannot stand the thought of losing that high. Depressed in the stupor of fictional withdrawal, I wonder why. Because when you love them so very high. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Did you write that high?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not. See, I think it's so interesting that you ask me the question. When you get to the end of the poem, you understand that it has nothing to do with being high on drugs. The last line gets it all the way.
What's the last line again?
The last line, because in your love, I'm so very high.
I mean, it could go both ways.
It could go both ways, but that's the direction I'm saying so high. You start hearing drugs related things, and you're like, oh, high. And then I even do that sometimes. Like, anybody like to get high? Like, okay. And I think you might have been there when at the Poetry Event in Square Mile, and it was like 420. Or 420 was coming up, I think.
Yeah. And
I was like, oh, so I'm doing this in honor of 420.
I remember that.
And yeah, that's what I want to give you. The whole poem is leading you down this road thinking that I'm talking about actually being high. And so that's the imagery I'm trying to present to you. The story I'm trying to tell you is that, but I'm using, all these effects in drugs that come from drugs or that we associate from drugs. And I'm using that to say that love does the same thing. I think, I didn't coin it, but somebody, some rapper said something, or maybe some singer said something like that, where love is a drug. And
absolutely,
in that, that's kind of what you have going on. So in that idea, is this a love poem, or is it something like love?
Something like love, yeah.
Love, because I'm not talking about being love, or I'm talking about the effects of what it's doing to me, right? And so that's kind of what that is. And this is probably my favorite poem.
Ever?
And it was like, yeah, this is probably like my favorite. This is probably like top for me.
Okay.
It's one of the first three that I wrote. So you had I Shall No Longer Be a Slave, So High, and then you had Knocking at the Door. Those are the first three in this particular journey that were there.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I like that it had nothing to do with being high. I'm trying to get better at that.
It had nothing to do with being drugs. I guess you still could be like high on life or high on love or high, but it's not drugs.
It's not weed related or anything like that, you guys.
But what I love about it though is that even when I say that, I still love people to think that because that's what you want. Like if I'm writing a poem, I need to know what you're thinking. I'm taking you so what do you imagine is going on here? And your sort of, when you get the question, what was this poem thinking, or what does this mean? What did they mean by this? I still want you to have that because that's the creative side of that from you as well. Like, oh, this is talking about this. And you might be like, how did you come to that? But then you have whatever you have. And so this is that whole metaphor, kind of thing. And I'm using everything. I'm using all the stuff that triggers, ooh, puff of pass. Ooh, I know what that is.
Right.
Ooh, okay, cool. Ooh, you got like, what's the line? You got like, ooh, white residue. What does that mean? Oh, okay. Ooh, stimulation, depression, I'm high, like, yeah, so that's the beauty in it. But that's why I love it. And that's why it's one of my favorites, because the way not only does it flow, I love the flow of it, but just everything I'm using, and I'm taking you one way, and then I just shift on you like, wait a minute, hold on, what did you just say? And again, that's the beginning, middle, end type of thing, right?
I want to get better at that, like making you think I'm writing about something, and then just flip it on you. I only have one poem, and it's fairly new, where I'm writing about, you think I'm writing about this toxic cheating relationship, but I'm really just writing about a watch.
Okay.
Because the prompt was to personify an object, and I didn't know what to personify, and the person was like, your watch, and I was like, I like watches, I could do that. Okay. So might just kind of giving that away to anybody who's never heard it, but that's okay. I actually did it at Japs. It was a couple weeks ago. I need to kind of like fine tune how I perform that, but I do want to get better at sending people on a journey, and then it ends up I'm not. That's not even what I'm talking about. It's the shock factor that comes after, like, oh, you weren't even talking about that. That I like, but you're a storyteller, so yeah, I'm sure it comes a little bit more natural to you.
Not always, but like I said,
don't be so modest.
I mean, listen,
You're a storyteller.
I'm a storyteller, but sometimes to tell the story, it doesn't always come as you want to. But that's always where I write too. It's like I let the poem kind of guide, and then I'm like, okay, it's going this way. Okay, let me kind of put this in here, and then you go. Sometimes you get somewhere, and you're like, oh, that's not what I was trying to talk about. But
yeah,
in the here, it's like, oh, okay, this is cool too.
It works, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that. What at a young age made you want to write stories? Because I mean that's really dope.
That's a hard one. Because I still was drawing, and I think that's probably where you get some of it, because I'm drawing like, and this is like, okay, so like Street Fighter was like my game when I was a young kid in the arcades and stuff like that. So I used to draw a lot of that. Street Fighter fighting games. So I would come up with characters, and then you have to kind of come up with some story with the character, some backstory, and kind of that kind of thing. So, and you big into your cartoons, you watch whatever. So you have that. So I would just, like writing, telling a story in that particular way. You create some world, and then you going with it. And these weren't necessarily immaculate, but you just wrote.
You were writing stories at a young age.
And but second grade was when I like really like wanted to like do it for real. I don't even know what the story was about, but it was like that whole whatever, that long rectangular pad had the solid line, the dash lines in the middle, like those. I don't know if you remember that. Maybe this maybe showing my age, but anyway.
We can't be that far apart.
But that's what the paper was. It was like you would write your letters, so you had a double line that signified the capital letter, the dash lines where the lowercase letter would go. Oh man, I'm really showing it. Okay. But that's what I wrote that story in, one of those. And so then it was some event downtown, and we got to read. We had a group of people, and it was like different groups, but it was a bunch of students. And so I read the story. And I just I keep what the story's about, but I love, reading the story. I felt really good about it, whatever story that I wrote. I really want to just like publish something. So I just love writing, that creative side. You create, and when you do a story, sometimes you can do it in the world that we have, but then you can also create the world you want to create.
Exactly.
And that gave me like this limitless range of like creation, because now I can do whatever I wanted to. I wasn't restricted to, sort of any setting or anything. I could just write. And so I would read whatever books, and I'm like, there was this book I used to read when I was in elementary. It was like, I was big into martial arts as well, which kind of derivative fighting games.
Street Fighter, okay.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then like American Ninja was like one movie I liked. So it's like all with the martial arts. And but in this story, it was like a sort of pick your destination kind of thing, pick your journey. So it would read, and then it'll be like, okay, if you want this, you go this page, you go this page. And so I really love the book, because when you read it, you got so many different ways you can go. And I was like, that's dope. And so just being able to create a story and have no limits to it, that's what really got me wanting to really write the story.
Yeah, I liked when the Goosebumps books would, when they started letting you pick which ending you wanted to do. I thought that was so cool. Granted, I would read both, but, I would always like one more than the other. I remember the first Goosebumps book that I read that had like multiple endings was like something about Tiki Island. I barely remember the cover. It was like a volcano on the front of the cover. And that was the very first one that, oh, okay, go to this page. Oh, okay. And of course I finished that and read the other ending. But yeah, that's really cool. It's cool that you were writing stories in the second grade.
I mean, they weren't super long, but they were still.
That's cool.
Story.
That's cool. That's cool. That's really cool. I think it is.
Now, it'd be prodigy level if I was like writing a book and I'm like, oh, here it is, boom.
Fine.
But people start somewhere. But that's the beauty in creation. Like, I always wanted this, and my parents just let me, have that space. So when I was drawing or whatever, okay, one year for Christmas they got me like some coloring pencils, markers, this really fine sketching like book, and then some materials, because that's what I was in. So they allowed me to have whatever dreams or whatever I was having, and they fostered that. It wasn't like, oh, here's this, do this or do that.
Right.
And so I was able to just do me, you know what I mean, when it came to that part of it. So that helps out as well, because nobody's like, oh, you're not caged in. You can just say you want to do this, and you're a kid. You get time to do that. It's a time to discover, different things, and be a sponge and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so like that was great that I had that space to be able to even try to write a story or write or draw or something like that. So
That's cool. I like that. See, you was dope even as a second grader. You got another poem you want to share with us?
We do have another one.
All right, let's go.
All right, so this poem is called Everyday People. Mishandled toddlers and abused children. We listen to the whimpers and family members' cries. You see the police officers and paramedics every day. Criminals in cuffs are on the run. Political and societal change sown through protests, rallies, strikes, and demonstrations. Troops and insurgents, single mothers, misguided children, absentee fathers. People falling victim to natural disasters and other perils. We see them, hear about them every day. Everyday sorrows for people I see every day. Struggling, trying to find a way. Corrupt politicians and city leaders flip-flopping on stances and promises of action. Graduates struggling with loan debt for schooling more expensive than its return. Killers without causes or emotions, namelessly aiming. Innocence and power stolen away in rape for which the victim bears the blame. People working hard without applause or recognition of existence. Citizens pleading for federal assistance. Failing economy and scarce employment. Wars keeping family members in constant deployment. Rich-poor divide widens. Erosion of the middle class continues in silence. Hungry and homeless people, desperate people, on the last dollar people, dead people physically in the grave, comatose people mentally trapped in a cage. The star that made it from the old neighborhood, well, that was 25 years ago, don't see it every day. Still gives back to communities, knowledge and experience on which kids feed. It fuels their goals and dreams. High school grads on their way to college educated from the poorest of parts, raising generations to avoid poverty cycles, sincere people, giving them much time, necessities, and love, there, but not heard about every day. You see them every day. Young girls with infant ambitions. Every day I see them pushing strollers, babies within arms or babies seen but unborn. I hear them on the bus talking about, I want to have a baby. How about we reach adulthood first? Something new for the day's thirst. Young boys acting a fool, hanging on corners, stirring up trouble. Some misguided, some just following. Others just don't know any better. Some inspiring to be college grads, musicians and superstars. Success defined by both legal and street standards, acting with proper and accepted manners. Everyday people like myself, I see and hear. I have lost my voice trying to speak for the masses. Every day is a burnout. People every day crying about this, complaining about that. I don't care to hear it. Ease up off my shoulder and get out of my face. I don't give a fuck anymore. But every day is a blessing. And those that smile see the light see, and those that smile see the light and possibility, purposely roaming with positivity, for problems ignored, travel from one's doorstep to another's eventually. People every day bustling, some hustling, some pissed off and cussing. I see them every day. Yet there are people that live every day with hope, managing with little to get by, finding ways to cope, searching for the not so ordinary, somewhat extraordinarily profound reason to rise and shine, live and breathe for a new day, every day. Thank you.
You be writing. You be writing.
I appreciate you.
You be writing. You be acting like you don't be writing, but you be writing. You be writing.
I appreciate that.
It's really dope. Have you ever like read some of your stuff at like rallies or events or anything? I don't know. That's like what I see when I hear some of your poems.
No, well, not in some serious thing. I don't think these are politically charged.
Oh no.
But outside of poetry events, excuse me, the last poem I read at Parents Weekend. My parents weren't there, but I read this poem. Which I would read. I read it for Parents Weekend. So I don't really do it like that. It's gonna be like an event, like a poetry event or something like that.
Okay.
Or open mic somewhere where it may not just be poetry, but it'd be like music and stuff like that. So those are the spaces, which I kind of read, which I don't know how they fit unless it, like I said, it's politically charged, where you're reading a poem, like whoever did it, the inauguration.
Yeah.
Or I think it's like Amanda something maybe.
Gorman.
Yes, is it what it is, Amanda?
I think
Gorman?
so.
She read her poem, and that was at that. That would be dope if I got some event like that. But nevertheless,
one day.
Yeah. I always said so I have a Sade poem, which will not be in this book. I don't think it's gonna be in this book, because I just wrote it this year. So I don't feel right putting it in. But you go back and forth because it's like you're gonna put something out as a poem that people like, that people know. And that poem, I'm like, if Sade was like, listen, I'm about to do one last concert, and I heard that poem, and I was like, you know what, can you open my concerts with that poem? You're gonna be with me traveling the world, and then you're gonna read that poem at every concert that opens up. That would be dope. That would be like dope, and that would be if that can happen, just create that.
That would be mad.
But I really don't. And I mean, if somebody said, hey, you know what, we're having this event, and your poem, we thought was good, can you read that? That'd be cool. But okay. I kind of just restricted to like open mic poetry events, because I think that's the space in which you really can have it. So
no, I feel that. That's dope though. You be writing.
I do. I mean, a lot of these poems, I was writing.
You be writing.
I was writing, which is the part where I got to go back and look at things, because I am writing. I'm just focused on writing. I'm like, okay, wait a minute, this may not flow the way that I want it to flow for the people, or let me make sure this gets right. So, but yeah, a lot of that. And again, that's the journey. Part I want to do the book, because it was like, okay, I wrote a lot. Let me put this together in this, and then it's there. Okay, then put this one together, then it's there. Right, instead of just having like 100 poems or something like that, and you just like, okay, I just got these. Yeah. Now it's a way to section them all off, put them together in some type of collection, and then boom, I can move on from that side and the next one, and it's a way. And then that's a part of my creation. You be organizing in the way and put it together, and so yeah.
That's dope. Y'all be sure not to go in there. We got one more break, and then we're coming back with Noc Giant. Keep it locked. You are still tuned in to Overseas Dreams with the official Melody and Noc Giant. And this man be writing. I feel like you got a lot of modesty to you, but
I
you
do.
be writing.
I do.
You be writing, and like I've heard your stuff today, and I'm just like, he has a lot to say. He has a lot to say. I think that's why I asked you, like, do you ever perform them at like a rally or, you know, some kind of, not necessarily political event, but just event, some kind of, I can't really explain it, but like, cause like, it's like when I hear it, I see you like just kind of reading at those kind of events. That's just kind of the visual that it brings up for me. I'm like, this dude has a lot to say. So I'm glad that you're putting this stuff in a book for sure. Cause it's dope. It's dope.
I really appreciate that. I don't live for that. Like I said, yeah, I'm
I
honest.
know.
I don't live for that. So, but those are the ones that are really good when somebody comes to me and they're like, "Hey, I really liked your poem," because then I'm like, "Okay, I know that's like legit." Like you get your claps, you get your stuff. And,
Yeah.
But like when somebody comes up to me and they're like, "Hey, like, I like that." Like the first time I read, I swear this woman had to run after me because I was out there before everybody else. I read my poems. The event was over. And you know, and I'm like walking back to my dorm, which is a little far, so I'm busting it, and I'm like nobody was there, and I was walking to. I'm like, this woman had to run like to catch up to me, but when she caught up to me, she was like, I really like your poems, keep doing your thing, and I'm like, that's what I love.
That feels
I love
really
that
good.
part when somebody comes to me and say they really like the poem, or they read it like, oh, I thought your poem was about this, or they're in tune, or something. That's more than anything, any awards, any like, you know, come do a feature. When somebody comes up to me and they're like, I really like your poem. That's it.
Yeah, that's always a good feeling. Super dope. Especially like you never seen this person a day in your life. It's not just another poet or somebody that you see at the open mics all the time. It's like, I've never met you before, and you know, you felt the need to, you know, tell me that you liked it or whatever the case may be. It means a lot. It means a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since like I'm so introverted, so I don't really be talking to people. So it's it's nice. That also kind of gets me out of my shell a little bit, but you know, I'm still getting acclimated. Still getting acclimated. So what does the future hold? I know you working on the book.
Okay.
That will come out in a couple months ish.
Yeah, that's the deadline. So now that I put it here, that's really official. I gotta get it out.
I mean, you can always push it back. The public won't hold it against you.
Well, you know.
That's the goal, though.
That's the goal to get it. Is to get it done. Last year, I would be on like Instagram or something, and I would just see like somebody's post. It would be their post, but post on somebody else's post, and it'd be like finish what you started. These are like subliminal things that I'm just like, I'm hearing this, but this is speaking to me on another level, and this is what really was like. Yeah, finish this book.
Yeah.
Get this thing done. Get this. You know what? Yeah, you right. And that's how I move creatively. Like I'm already on like the third book, ideal wise.
No, that's right.
Because I'm like just moving. But in that, I'm like, damn, I didn't finish that. I didn't finish, and I wanted to do this, and I didn't complete what I needed. And I'm like, I gotta go back. I need to go back, and I need to finish these things. I started this. This is where I wanted to go. I want to finish this. And so that is what I'm hoping to really do.
Okay.
Really finish a lot. Not even just this. So many other things trickle down in life. But I'm like, I need to finish this. I need to, you know what? I need to get this finished. Let's do this. And what is it going to take me to finish? So like I said, those different things, that is what I was saying. And then meeting the people I needed to be like, okay, this is publishing. Other poets, they have their books. Like, I got this book out. And I'm like, I see you. I see you. Okay. Get on your shit, Noc. Get in your thing. They don't put a book out. They put a book out. You can do this. This is not impossible. Other people have done it. So that stuff has been inspiring me to really get out and finish mine. so they can be done, so I can really move on and keep going to the next one, the next one, the next one, and keep writing. So that's there. As far as poetry going, still writing. As I edit these poems, I'm like, there's new poems that you're coming up with. The poem that I finished this year, If I Were a Poem, get that out the way, and then it's more. So, but keep connecting. I just try to branch out to different circles. So a few months ago, I got down to the Louisville scene. So some open mics down there.
Nice.
Have a connect in Chicago. So try to get some open mics there. It's not my second city, so I love being in Chicago. So to get to some open mics there would be fantastic. To get to some more in Ohio, would be good. So that's the next thing. Try to journey out, and hey, you never know. That might be like a little book tour. Is get to some different places, some open mics, and then you broadcast in that. You read poems from there, and boom. You never know. Can I get to every state? I don't know. But
I mean, you can.
Yeah, but so that would be what that would be. You got the book. You got continue to get to the different circles, continue to connect, branch out of the Cincinnati scene, and see, can you even take the book further and travel a little bit to different states and just see their poetry scene. Like you said, you had your poetry scene now and where you were from, and it's like, okay, well, there's other scenes, and that's what I think the beauty of that is. You go to some other scene and you can just jump right in, Yeah. I mean, cities might be where they are, bigger cities, whatever, but you can jump in. You read your poem and there you go. Just open mic, you good to go, and you never know what comes from that. So I just want to be able to meet other people, other poets, other creatives, and if I can spread my work, if you can get features in other places, that would be dope. But it's just the poetry itself is what I love. And so, like, meeting other poets, continue new poetry, that's where I am. I don't, all the other stuff that comes with it, I don't care, because I'm just about the creation.
I feel that. Where can people find you on social media?
So, you can find me on social media, Instagram, because that's really where I'm on, at LOU, 3 I's, STHRD.
Yeah, it was a lot. Like, I knew who you were, but it was like going through each letter was like, okay.
The reason I do that because I be doing it fast, and then people are like, hold on, what you say? Now this is being recorded, so I didn't have to do it as fast, but this is kind of what I'm trying to slow it down so that people can actually type it in
and follow you.
Yeah, and actually like, okay, cool. Which you can do it afterwards, but if I say it, in the correct speed, then you're able to type it in like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Boom. So, and having an accurate picture of yourself would be great on there so they can easily find you as well.
I feel that. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate you being on here. Heard some dope pieces that I've not heard. I love it. I like your process. I like that you were just writing at an early age. That is really, really dope. That just makes me want to write more at this age. So definitely inspiring for sure. And you about to bless us with another poem, about to take us out. But y'all be sure to tune in next month and every month on Farside TV's Mixcloud, Twitch, and Twitter channels, X, as well as my SoundCloud. And until next time, y'all be blessed. Take us out, Mr. Noc Giant.
A tribute to my greatest inspiration. When playing the game of life, you need someone rooting for you in the bleachers, motivating you to stick it out until the end, convincing you to bring it all during the clutch, yet remains cheering with a foam hand despite the outcome. For this reason and more, I've taken this time to pay homage to my greatest inspiration. My greatest inspiration has more game than Jordan, Reggie Mille, Cash, and Teaspoon combined. Has a better rap than the Brat, Nas, Pac, or Foxy. Can make me laugh harder than Cedric, Hughley, Laura Hayes, or C. Tucker. can calm my nerves better than Mary J, Midnight Star, Luther, or Alicia, has motivated and encouraged me more than my two favorite high school teachers, saying just the right things to help me get through. No matter if they're here with me in the physical or the spirit, the words and advice contain the same feelings. Supporting me when it seemed like no one else did, for me sacrificing it all when they really did not have much at all, easing my pain that left me awake stressing, shielding me with an umbrella when life's thorns became too depressing, standing strong as a fortress while chaos eroded insides, however never allowing to breach my walls of intellect, nor permitting it to upset the calm quarters of my soul. When down, they always delivered vital words to lift. Though I had fallen, I was never out, thinking I could continue no longer, feeling I could bear no more because the pain is much stronger. I become inspired to give and take a little more. To my greatest inspiration in myself, I owe it, to maximize the full potential of my gifts and talents. There is nothing in the world like my greatest inspiration, band coach, and most importantly, friend. Though I never said it, I appreciate the love and late night hugs. Where would I be without you? You are truly the greatest of all time. Thanks, Mom, for being my greatest inspiration. Thank you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.